So I think it's safe to say that at this point, you know, mindfulness and meditation has kind of gone mainstream and is finding its way into businesses and practices and all kinds of things. And, in the spaces that I work in, sometimes people kind of rail against that and say it cheapens the experience, or that meditation and these contemplative traditions have kind of sold out or something like that. And I've always defended the idea that people can actually be introduced to a practice that brings them well-being, and it can help them go deeper, and it brings a lot of benefits. So I have to admit, though, when I saw this one, I felt like it just went a little too far. So Amazon apparently released this video recently of what they call AmaZen, which is a fun play on words. It's a phone booth sized box where employees who work in their warehouses, where, as we know through a lot of reports, there's all kinds of problems with the way those employees are treated, and have access to breaks and bathroom breaks and all kinds of things. So they've got this AmaZen box where employees can go and focus on their mental well-being, as Amazon puts it. And it offers mindfulness practices. There's probably some kind of like iPad, or I guess it would be a Amazon Fire or whatever their version is, that shows them these different videos and things. Now, I have to admit, when I read this, it just kind of on the surface level sort of struck me as a little bit absurd. And my first thought was, wow, I'd really like to work with some of the executives at Amazon on this process of centering for wisdom. So yes, I mean, I am a fan of bringing these things into the workplace. I've done a lot of that work. I work with professionals who are integrating a contemplative practice into their daily lives and even into their professional lives. And in some cases, that then ends up extending to their employees or their team, and kind of, when you have the experience of going deep into a practice and experiencing that healing, it's natural to want to share that with people in a way that's fitting for wherever they come from. So, and I also encourage people to carve out sacred spaces to do their practice. Maybe it's a corner in a home, or even placed in their office or something like that. But I have to admit, the AmaZen box doesn't seem very sacred and doesn't seem to be getting at exactly what we want to be doing as we introduce these practices. And there's a couple different ways I would look at it. One of the first things I do when I work with people is talk about how we don't want the daily centering practice to be something that's just like another thing on the to-do list, or some kind of a band-aid solution that we offer to ourselves or to other people. And then, least of all, we do not want it to be something that we do just to cope or just to get by. And that's, I think, the problem with the AmaZen, and some people are dubbing it on social media the box of despair. So if you're in this terrible, situation where your employer is not treating you with justice, and they offer you, this tiny box to go in and find some quiet, it's not exactly addressing the root causes of the injustice. And that's, I think, the real issue that sort of rubs us the wrong way intuitively with this kind of way of approaching it. It's being offered without addressing the wholeness of the person who works for Amazon. And again, we're railing against Amazon because that's a big one. It's probably the biggest one around, and we know about it. But there are hundreds of millions of other places where we could say that this is true. And the challenge here, right, is that it's not addressing the root cause of the whole person being the person that we value and that we want to build up through building a business, right? It's not addressing in one word, it's justice. So centering for wisdom is really for leaders who want to address the root causes. It kind of starts with yourself, right? It's those root causes of stress, overwhelm, and burnout that might cause one to want to go into an AmaZen box or something like that. But actually go into something that is healing. And really that comes by going within and carving out sacred and quiet spaces and doing that consistently day after day. It's only then, right, we do that work on ourselves and we start to experience that healing. We connect with God or a higher power, and the grace that kind of starts to melt all those blocks that we have around our hearts. And then we can start to open to, and this is part of the natural process, seeing the injustices and the inequities in the world around us. And that's the real process that Centering for Wisdom can get into. So yeah, it starts for yourself, but it's for the people you lead, it's for your organization, it's for your business, it's for your family, and for your community. And the other piece that I would emphasize here is that, unlike the box of despair, a contemplative practice is, it's not an escape. It's actually an entering even more deeply into reality. And that means into, our own challenges and looking them squarely in the face, but also looking at the injustices and challenges that we see in the world and in our businesses and in our organization. And any genuine teacher of a contemplative practice, whether it's centering prayer and meditation or mindfulness or anything in between, one of the ways that you can tell if somebody is really in the tradition and committed is that the contemplative practice is always tied to service to others. Ultimately, it has to lead us to those two virtues that connect us to how we love and serve others. It's love and justice. It's doing what is right for your employees and for your community out of that sense of inner connection and compassion and love. So if that's the kind of leadership that you believe in and strive for, but maybe you're finding it hard to kind of access that inner wisdom and love and justice and courage, it's all naturally in there. We're all born with it. We have this desire to connect. But if you're struggling because of overwhelm and burnout and stress and distractions of the modern world, then I really want to invite you to book a free breakthrough session with me. So I'm putting that in the chat box right now. And if you sign up for that, when you sign up for that free breakthrough session, we'll get on a call and we'll talk about, what are those desires for justice and for love and service that are in your heart right now? And what's blocking that? Let's get really clear on what's blocking that. And then if I can help you work through some of that and maybe develop a slightly more sacred space than an Amazon box of despair in your life, as well as teach you a practice to really access that and live out of that inner core of goodness and desire and wisdom to love and serve others, then that's what we'll talk about. And if I can help you get there, we can discuss that. And if not, I will look for other resources that can help you as well. All right, so don't build an AmaZen box, but rather let's talk about how you can do this in a way that's really life-giving for you and for the people that you love and care about and work with and serve in your community, in your work, and in your family. So go ahead and click that link right now. I look forward to talking with you soon, and hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.